Hi, everybody, and welcome. Thank you for tuning in today. I am joined by Chris Bogenrief, who is the current president of NAI United and managing broker, and also the mayor of North Sioux City. Chris, thanks for joining me today.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
Thanks. Let's dive right in. So the goal today is to kind of figure out a little bit about how you're balancing out real estate life and civic duties. And I'm curious, can you identify a point when you decided, hey, it's time for me to get involved in my community at a higher level?
Yeah, so I've always been pretty involved in the community, but I had never thought about, running for public office. That was not in the cards. But some things happened in North Sioux City, and I'm a resident of North Sioux City. Some things happened where there was a group of individuals that just wanted to stop all growth. And so, I was sitting on the Dakota Valley Business Council, and we looked around the board and said, who are we going to get to try to stop this? Because they were petitioning to stop projects. Then they petitioned to overthrow the government, which they successfully did. They completely overthrew the current 9-member city council and wanted to create a new form of government, a 5-member commission at large. And we had a lot of history with those individuals and knew that they wanted to stop growth. And we knew somebody had to run. And the weird thing is there's not a lot of business owners that actually live in North Sioux City. They have their businesses there, but they don't necessarily live there.
Okay.
So there's not a lot of people to choose from the business community. So it was kind of out of a lack of anyone to run. So I got a group together of 4 individuals. There was 5 seats on the new commission, and we found 4 people to run. And we really did it to protect the future of the city, because we were afraid if the anti-growth people took over control of the city, North Sioux would probably not see any growth for the next decade or more. And so I really decided to run out of fear for what could happen to the community. I thought, if we just had a major flood, there's a lot of expenses we're going to have to deal with. And if we can't be growing at the same time we're trying to pay for all these expenses, the city's going to go bankrupt. So we got a group of like-minded individuals that were pro-growth and just said, let's give it a shot. And we ran, and it turned out great. 3 of the 4 of us got in. But the reason I did it was basically out of fear of what I knew might happen to the city if we didn't get some pro-growth individuals on there. So it wasn't something I had in mind doing, but I just felt like somebody had to step up and keep that city going in the right direction.
Yeah. And so to me, the stepping up is showing, hey, I care about what's going on here, and I'm going to do something about it.
Yeah, I do. I live there. I have development there. I have, I want to see that area grow. And really, Dakota Dunes and North Sioux are basically one city, even though they're not technically. But that whole area I want to see continue growing, just like I want to see the rest of Siouxland grow. But so that was one of the reasons. And they also had just hired a new city manager who had been the city manager of Dakota Dunes for almost 30 years. So we had a great city manager that could take a lot of load off of us commissioners. And that made part of my decision easier too. And I had worked with Jeff Dooley for years at Dakota Dunes. So was very comfortable that we had a great city manager that could execute on what this new commission would like to do.
Awesome. So your background, primarily commercial real estate, negotiating deals, analyzing risk. How do those skills translate into the role of being the mayor?
Well, actually, it's come into play quite a bit because we've done several things where we've done a lot of property acquisition. So we bought 16 lots from folks whose homes got destroyed. So, the real estate background came in very helpful in those negotiations. We've also had to acquire land for new lift stations. We're also acquiring land for the new bypass that's going to go around the high school. So real estate really became a big part of what we were doing this last year.
Sure.
We just finished our first year. And so that background really did help, it even helped the city manager because he didn't have a lot of real estate background. But that has come in very handy for a lot of these negotiations.
That's an awesome example. So in your time as the mayor, what is a challenge that you've run into that maybe you weren't anticipating that you had to get through that sticks out to you?
Well, one of the challenges was, we had experienced this enormous flood, and, the process to get federal funding can be very lengthy. And we were trying to help some of these homeowners that were devastated. And, if you waited for the federal government to take care of that, it could be years more. And so one of the hardest decisions we had to make as a commission was, are we going to continue waiting and see if anything happens with federal funding? Or are we just going to take $4 million out of our general fund and buy these lots? And we decided to do it. And we just felt like it was the right thing to do. These people, were just in a very unfortunate situation. And, they didn't volunteer to be flooded, but what they did was save the rest of the city. They not only saved all the industry and most of the city, saved Dakota Dunes too, by their homes being destroyed. It truly did save the city as a whole. So instead of the entire 3,000 population city plus 8,000 employees working in the industrial parks, it limited it to about 100 homes that got damaged. But we just felt like we need to do something for those people. And that's what a community does. And that was probably the toughest decision we've had to make. We've only been in it a year, but that's a lot of money to come out of a small town general fund.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can backfill that with some federal funding as it comes in, which it will eventually. But that was a tough call, but we knew it was the right thing to do.
Yeah. So that's a great example. And it kind of leads into my next question, which you've touched on a little bit, which is, based off of your knowledge of development and land usage, how has that helped guide your leading in the role that you're in now? Yeah,
well, I feel like I have a unique perspective on what the community needs and what maybe product types they should pursue. And North Sioux, just like a lot of the communities around here, are very short on housing. So we knew that was a big priority, especially after losing so many homes. We needed to get housing development going. One example of that is we approved Union Crossing, which is a very large mixed-use development that's providing a lot of what they call workforce housing. So we approved that right away, and there's hundreds of apartments under construction, single family starting this year. So being able to identify what the community really needs, and that's actually what the industry wanted too. They wanted housing for their employees, because it's kind of unique because only 7% of the employees, there's probably 6,000 to 8,000 employees in North Sioux every day. Only 7% of them live there.
Wow.
So that tells me there's a huge demand. And so we need to focus on housing is really the number one issue. So not only do we have Union Crossing, Lloyd Companies has come down from Sioux Falls, and they're building another 116 apartments that are probably going to open about the same time as Union Crossing. So we're seeing a lot of housing projects come out of the ground. So really happy with that.
Great. So you have two pretty important roles. One, you're a managing broker of a commercial firm, and you're also the mayor. What would you say are some things that people maybe don't totally understand about either of those roles, or that you would say come as commonly misunderstood?
Sure. Well, just the ability to juggle between your business and the city business. We're fortunate. We have a great city manager that can take a lot of that load off. But being in real estate, there's going to be some conflicts come up, and there has, and you just abstain from the voting or you abstain from the discussion, and it seems to work real well. Because part of my business was bringing companies into North Sioux City, but now I just turn them over to economic development and let them run with it, and I just stay out of it and just keep encouraging growth. And so it's not that hard to juggle the two, and as people may think, but it's working pretty well.
Good. So a lot of stuff on your plate with running the city, with running a business, family, etc. How do you balance it all?
Well, like I said, having a great city manager is very helpful. But my kids are all out of the house now. We're empty nesters, and I basically had to get off a couple boards I was on to create some more time,
including the realtor board.
Yes.
You were a director. Yeah.
Right. And I just felt like I could probably do more good as a mayor of a community, a local community here, than I could as serving on the realtor board. But that was one example. You do have to give some things up, but so far it's been worth it.
Good. That's great to hear. So looking ahead for the duration of your term, what are a couple things that you're looking forward to working on, or specific outcomes that you hope to accomplish as kind of like your legacy, if you will, as your role as mayor?
Yeah. So however you want to look at it, fortunately or unfortunately, I have a 5-year term. So I'm not worried about campaigning ever, because I don't plan to probably give more than 5 years. But that also gives me time to get some things done that I'd like to see happen. And I don't have to worry about my decisions, because I'm not worried about running again. I just am going to do what I think is right. And one of those was buying out those 16 lots for the $4 million. Now we're working on another project. In fact, I got a meeting coming up right after this. We're working on a TIF district for the heavily damaged areas, so that those homeowners can capture the taxes that would have went to the schools and the city and the county and the fire, and allow those homeowners to keep those new taxes they create by remodeling their homes and getting them back to the way they were. And so that's going to be another way that folks can, it's a way we can help them rebuild. So not only did we take care of the ones that were destroyed, but now we're working on a new program to help those that want to rebuild and continue living on those lots. And so that's if we can get that done this year, I'll be very happy that we've taken care of the destroyed and the ones that want to rebuild both. So I'm excited about that. And then there's some things that our community doesn't have that I'd like to work on over the next couple years as we get through this flood mitigation. And I'd like to see maybe a little mixed use development in North Sioux to serve as a town center. We really don't have a town center. We have a strip that has a lot of video lottery and bars and restaurants, but we don't really have a community gathering place. And so I'd like to work on that over the next few years to create a sense of community there.
Awesome. That's wonderful. So it's very obvious you're committed to your community. You've been an upstanding member of our profession for a long time, and I may be biased, but I think realtors have a special part in the community and how they interact with the citizens and what they do to give back. And so your being the mayor is a great example of that. What would you say to a realtor that is thinking about getting involved in terms of what would you caution them against? How would you encourage them? Those types of things.
Yeah, it seems intimidating maybe to get into a public office, but really you're just a community member like everyone else, and you probably have skills that a lot of your fellow community members don't. And you could be a valuable asset to any jurisdiction that you live in. And I think you'll find that, it might be an extra time commitment, but, you're able to give back, but you're also, you could probably get maybe some business out of it because you're getting some name recognition that you might not have got before. And so it's kind of a win-win because you can do some great things for your community with your knowledge and your expertise, but you also get some publicity out of it to help your business. And maybe it doesn't help you until after you're out of office, but I think it's a win-win for people in our industry to think of it that way.
Awesome. So to kind of put a bow on this and wrap this up, what would you say would be some good information that you could share with people to help them better understand or know you, and with regards to your role as a commercial real estate agent or being the mayor of North Sioux City?
I just I've been very community minded my entire career, and I think that if you care about your community and you're willing to spend time on it and you're willing to invest in your community, serving in a public role is no different. It's just you can have more impact. So I think for those that are involved in the community, I think they should consider this a public office as one of the ways you can do it. You might have to give up some of your other responsibilities or boards that you're on, but so far I've been really happy. The time commitment, I probably have average about 3 meetings a week, sometimes more, sometimes less. But when I drive up and down our streets in our community and I see what's happening, it's very satisfying. So I would encourage anybody that, is civic minded, community minded, don't hesitate to get involved in a public office. I think it's a great way to make an impact.
Awesome. Chris, thank you so much for sharing your time today, sharing your experience with your trade and your position within the city, doing great work in our community. If people wanted to reach out to you, what would be a great way to contact you?
They can just go to naiunited.com is our website, and you can find me there. Or if you see a commercial sign around town, my number's on there. So it's pretty easy to get a hold of me. And just want to continue growing all of Siouxland, and then I'm going to try to do my part on the South Dakota side.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your commitment to our community, and thank you for sharing your time with us today.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.